Alrighty, here we go. It is the 20th of August, 2025. Flyers Daily, as usual, presented by Ticketmaster. Make more memories live. Welcome to the middle of the week. As we tick down the days to another hockey season, we are getting closer. Just 3 weeks and 2 days to what's that, 23 days until the Flyers rookies will take on the Rangers rookies at the PPL Center in Allentown on Friday, September 12th and Saturday, September 13th. I will be there. I can't wait. I cannot wait for another season. I'm so ready for it. Time to get it going. Nights have been cooling down a little bit lately, and it makes you think, seeing some football on TV, that means hockey's not far behind. Real quick, couple things before we get to Franny Drummond from Paintzoo, who does the Flyers goaltending paint jobs on the masks. First of all, I had a chance to catch up with Brian Boucher yesterday. I talked to Boucher on the phone for about an hour. And great to catch up with Boosh, talking about the team, what we expect this year, what we expect out of Zegras and Drysdale and Vladar. So great to be talking about hockey even more. Obviously, I talk about it all summer because we do the podcast, and I do it every day. But it's going to be great to get the game back on the ice. So thanks to Boosh for putting up with me for about an hour yesterday on the telephone as I was running to Costco and getting some things done around the house. So awesome to catch up with him. Also coming up on Friday's episode, we had Kevin Kurz on last week from The Athletic, who's the beat reporter for the Flyers from The Athletic, NY Times. And on Friday's episode, Charlie O'Connor from PHLY Sports is going to be our guest. So we'll talk to Charlie about the offseason, about the draft, about Trevor Zegras, about the importance of this Flyers team moving forward and taking a step, not just in theory, but in practicality in the standings. Talk about those the five players that really could turn things for the Flyers. And I'm talking about Forster, Tippett, Cates, York, and Drysdale. We'll get into it all with Charlie O'Connor coming up on Friday's episode. We got some other things planned as well. I'm efforting Todd Reardon to get on the pod. I actually got a message from somebody asking about Carson Bjarnason. I'm going to try and get Carson on to talk some goaltending, his development, and also the general manager, Danny Briere. We are efforting to get on in the next week or so. So we got some great stuff coming up for this offseason. But this episode, every once in a while I try with the podcast, especially now that we're on a visual medium as well with YouTube, is I try and take people behind the scenes. Don't take for granted some of the things that I see or other people see. You know, Bill and I talked about it from fantasy camp and the fantasy campers getting to go behind the scenes at the Flyers practice facility, see the weight room, the shooting lanes, the lounge areas, all that stuff. And I know before I got into this whole thing, I was always curious about sports from, the 21 hours of the day where they weren't on TV or on the field of play, on the ice or on the football field or basketball court or baseball diamond. I always was curious about the other stuff. And everybody knows that I'm a full-fledged member of the goaltending union. One of the reasons I kind of fit both buckets when it comes into the chemistry of why you became a goalie. Why would somebody choose that? The two buckets that we often talk about are, one, that you had older brothers that played hockey. I happen to have two older brothers. They're 5 years older than me. They're twins, and they both played hockey. So what do? They were both forwards. You shove your little brother in the net and you fire pucks at him or balls at him. That was me in the driveway back when I was a kid. And the other element is that you fell in love with the equipment and the mask. I love all the equipment. I love the chesty. I love goalie pads, skates. I love the gloves and the blocker and the old school waffle boards. Like, it just looks like such a prehistoric position from an equipment standpoint. But I love nothing more than the mask. And I remember seeing Bernie Perron's mask on the cover of Time magazine when I was a kid, and Pelly following suit with that white mask, and then Wayne Stevenson with the mask with the Flyers logos painted off to the sides like wings, with the center of the Flyers logo being at the eyepieces. And I just fell in love with the mask. So I've always been in love with that part. And the weird thing is when I played growing up, we didn't wear masks in youth hockey. They weren't approved through USA Hockey or A-House back then. We had to wear a helmet and a cage. I'll put one up here so you can see it, of what I wore all through, playing Pee Wee, Bantam, Midget, and Junior. And I didn't get to wear the mask as a kid growing up. When it became later, I did get to wearing the mask. And I'm going to show everybody now the mask collection that's on this wall where the camera is right in front of me. It used to be behind me in my other studio, but this is my display of masks. I have the black one there. It's just one that was a beater. That I believe is a sport mask. And then the one next to it with the black and gray, that is my H.R. Geiger mask painted by Doug Wager at Weaselhead. And then obviously you see the Patrick Waugh Canadiens mask, Marty Brodeur, one of the great it's a Rangers mask, but he's a great Philadelphia guy from Flowertown, Mike Richter, his Ranger mask, and then a John Van Beesbrook. And then on the top shelf, you see the Bernie mask and a signed helmet there by, I think, 6 of the Flyers captains, mini helmet, and then another Van Beesbrook. And then you have that other Montreal mask, which is a Jose Theodore, an Evgeny Nabokov Sharks mask, a Patrick Waugh Colorado Avalanche mask, the Nikolai Hobby Bolin mask, which is this one, which is just one of my favorites. And the last one is a Cujo mask. So then you see my Ozzy figurines up there as well. I love the goalie mask. These are mini, but very cool. The Patrick Waugh, like this is simple, but beautiful. So the paint, who does the paint? Well, there's a few guys that do them. The guy that does most of the goaltenders for the Philadelphia Flyers, a guy named Franny Drummond. He has other clients around the NHL as well, whether that's Jacob Markstrom. He's done guys all through the years and does a great job. It's all hand painted. Does it right at his home studio. And he is one busy guy. He does more than masks. He'll paint anything. And he is fantastic at his job. And he's a great human being. I'm proud to call him a friend. So I had a chance to go up to Paintzoo, sit down with Franny, talk about mask painting, how he got into it, how it's evolved, and much more. Here's my conversation with Franny Drummond. We are at Paintzoo Studios with master mask painter, helmet painter, artiste, Franny Drummond. Even if you don't know Franny by name, you will after this. And first and foremost, you've seen his work. How you doing, Franny?
Good, Jace. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're doing well, man. Yeah. We're all worried about you. Yeah, it's exciting. It's Flyers time.
It is.
It's hockey time.
It's mask season.
It is.
Your season starts before the season, though.
It does. Yeah, there's a lot of process beforehand, talking to goalies and, creating things and getting approvals and before we actually get to paint them.
Well, the process of coming up with a design, and we know that goalies are very superstitious. They're very rigid because I believe that there's a lot of OCD for goalies because there's not a lot of control in the field of play where they're an alpha athlete. But what is that process like of coming up with the creative for so many different personalities and guys playing on the biggest stages in the world?
It's huge, actually. I mean, there's enough pressure playing goalie, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was a goalie. You love goalie, you play goalie. Like, it's a lot, and then you're playing on, in the show, like the stage. So, like, these guys, a lot of them, it depends on the goaltender, right? Some are a little easier, some aren't. But the process is fun for me because we get to create something for them that they, I like to have a lot of insight from my goaltenders. Like, what do you like? Are you into, like, the history of Philadelphia or whatever? And like we talked about too, it's like since Philadelphia in particular, there's one logo, it's classic, but there's no alternative logos. There's nothing. So it's a little harder to create something without doing like Rocky all the time and other stuff. But the
Liberty Bell,
the same stuff. But like that's where we get the insight of the other goalies where they might be into like, certain bands that we can try to incorporate in a Philly feel or, whoever, whatever team it may be.
Have you ever put Aretha Franklin on a mask or like Patti LaBelle is a Philadelphia legend, musician.
That's good too.
DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince would be good on a mask.
I think I've seen that on a mask before. I don't know if it was actually Philadelphia or not, but yeah, that'd be good. That's what I'm saying. Something that's different for a particular team. But goalies are superstitious, right? Yeah. So you have to get exactly what they want.
The evolution of the art on mask has been fascinating to me. It's the one area that the NHL hasn't tamped down individualism in this sport. And we know the goaltending position is very unique from a personality standpoint and all of those things. But this this arc of development of the mask and expression is incredible. Like, could you ever have imagined having such a significant portion of your career being dedicated to painting masks for goalies?
No. Ever since I was a goalie, I played since I was 4 years old. We weren't allowed to wear the masks that they wear today. So we had the old Hasek style.
Helmet and cage.
Yeah, the helmet cage.
Yeah. Cooper SK2000
yeah,
in a cage.
I was, believe it or not, Flyers guys are going to hate this, but I was a huge Richter fan. He was small, from Flower Town. Like, I always loved his style, but he had a cool mask. It was simple. Yeah. But the involvement of hockey masks now with the way these artists are and how they create stuff. I'm friends with a lot of them, and I'm fans, you become fans and friends that we both paint for different teams, but we're also fans of each other. And the way the artwork has evolved from like the classic Hexy, right?
Yeah.
The arrow.
The puck stops here,
the
arrow.
Puck stop, it's legendary.
Yeah. So
if you get a good one and you find that one, like I always loved Mason. We had talked about it. The time when The Walking Dead was around and he loved that, and we're like, well, let's do it in a Philadelphia feel, with the zombies, Drew being a zombie. Like, it was a cool mask. So, like, the involvement now isn't just, like, straight lines, right? Or the puck stops here. They're putting artwork on it. Yeah. We're doing different effects and metal flakes, and it's cool. And to actually be a part of that, to me, it's history.
Yeah, the evolution, Bernie had this simple white mask. Pelly followed. Wayne Stevenson comes along and puts a Flyer logo with the center of it on each eye. And I remember painting that on a Milac street hockey mask when I was a kid. And it drew me to the position because I was just like, wow, look at these masks. And there was so much individual expression in it that, you see my studio, I have mini masks everywhere. I love goalie masks. Like, they're cool.
It's artwork, right?
Yeah.
You get guys that like around the league that have different styles. It brings, to me, being an artist, like, I'm prejudiced, but like it brings artwork into the NHL, right? Yeah. You get to see what like guys are wearing or maybe what they're into. Like, you love guitars, right? Yeah. So like some guys are into like music and they can put it on their hockey mask, and that makes them an individual, right? Once they put that on there, it's like, like the puck stops here.
Yeah,
that's what's cool about it. To me, to actually paint them, it's like a dream since I was a kid.
Yeah, Were you always just a good artist? You always
I practiced a lot. I've always wanted to be a sports illustrator back in the day, and I went to art school in Miami, but it was more generated more towards the like Photoshop. And I was like, man, I always wanted to hand paint everything, whether it was like, a portrait or just some graphics on a mask, whether it's a mask or a football helmet or a hockey, or like a race helmet, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's still art.
You painted the Pierre Robert Minerva too, didn't you?
We did.
That's a big one.
That is a big one. That was a large area, and dealing with Pierre was fun, So he's pretty much just gave us like free reign to do whatever we want.
Be psychedelic, citizens.
That's what he said. Yeah. So we just kind of try to crush it for him, with that, and I think that's still around today.
It is, absolutely. I saw it a couple weeks ago when I was in with Preston and Steve. And it still looks amazing.
That's good.
I'm going to show people are going to see some B-roll of the shop and everything. There's some things we can't show.
Right.
I know you're working on some big projects for some football games, but you go beyond masks. You've painted everything from people can wear from their toes all the way to the tip of their head. Pretty much anything's up for grabs.
It pretty much is. I mean, I love hockey, so I'm always looking for hockey season, of course. But we do the Army-Navy game, which is a really, really huge honor for us. Being my dad and grandmom and grandfather were all Marines. So, of course, the Navy side was that made sense.
Yep.
But we've been doing that for like 8 years, and we do about 310 helmets. Well, you see it, by hand.
Wow. So 310 helmets by hand. How long does each helmet take?
Depends on per year, but some of them take about 3 to 4 hours.
Wow, it's a huge project.
It's a huge project.
And you're doing all by hand?
All by hand. All summer, we dedicate to that. And what's nice is when hockey season, like Flyer season comes up, like we get to mix that in with the monotony of the helmets.
Yeah.
Because once you do one, you have to do 300 and some helmets. It gets to be a lot, but it's worth every second because that game's so special.
The detail that you can get on these helmets and masks and shoes and everything, to me, it's incredible because the goalie mask, like for example, you have this one here. Mm-hmm. The goalie mask is not a flat surface.
No.
So to get that detail and not have it look like somebody's face is oblonged or something like that over bumpy areas like that, like how are you doing that?
That one's difficult. Sometimes like I try to stay away from certain areas like holes, placements. Sometimes I'll take like a tracing or something, I'll put it on there, and then I'll draw off the mask on the tracing and see if I like it or not before I do put it onto the mask. Yeah, because sometimes like, especially this area here, you don't want to get too close to the strap. But if you put a face over that, then the face is going to look oblong. Yep. So it doesn't truly look like them. So, a lot of that's like your sweet spot, we call it in the hockey world. But then when you start coming up here, like some guys like logos, and you got to try to like, make it not distorted.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. But, you got different masks. This one's a Bauer. So we try to do like this one's for the shop. Like I love the old school hot rod stuff. So, we try to do like some sand through and some flat.
This is like beachfront property.
That is.
You can do something.
Yep.
You got a lot of area.
That's like your
and
base.
It's flat.
Yeah. Yep. And then the chin's always tricky. A lot of times we try to tell people like nicknames, numbers, or just run the graphic through it, So there's certain things that when you talk to, some of your goalies to try to talk them like not putting a face up here if you can. Like a skull won't be that bad, but because it kind of will blend in.
Yeah.
And it won't be that bad, like as far as distortion. But like once you start doing faces and stuff, usually their sweet spots are your sides.
Is the backplate usually reserved for the more personal things for the goalies?
Yep. Most of the backplates are always like family, personal stuff like that. Kids, yeah. Yep. Like Dubnik's, when we did Dubnik out in Minnesota, he always did his kids on the back.
Yep.
Painted portraits.
I've seen some memoriams on the backs of those as well.
Yeah, friends, whatever. Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Let's bring in, we got your son here.
Yeah.
Leighton, because he was born during the
Leighton.
2010 Cup run. That's Leighton. Is he going to follow in Dad's footsteps? Can he paint?
He can't paint. No, he's a good sander though. But he wants to get into more of the sports management stuff, the broadcasting stuff like you're doing.
Yeah,
very
cool.
He's into sports, loves that kind of stuff. So we're gonna try to get him into that kind of thing. But
let's talk about this mask.
Yes.
This is one of the masks that you are very widely known for. This is a Steve Mason mask, and this is the exact mask. He gifted this to you. He has another one as well, but this obviously comes about around 2015.
Something about that. Yeah, about that.
So kind of the heyday of Walking Dead.
The heyday of Walking Dead, yeah. This one was, I think, the 50th. This was his 50th one. And then we did one, like an anniversary one, where we did, like, Bernie Perron and Bobby Clark. And
Giroux was on that, too, as a zombie?
Giroux was,
And Voracek?
And Voracek, yeah. So we have Giroux on this side, too.
Right
so this one was one of the ones that we mixed in, because a lot of times, like, goalies will have, like, 2 or 3 masks that they'll switch out through the year. But this one was kind of cool because we kind of brought that over the head of, just like a regular zombie to kind of bring that whole zombie feel. And, of course, we have, like, the equipment guys on the back.
Harry back here.
Yeah, Harry and Derek on the back. You got Gudis and Simmer and Schenner.
Luke Shen.
Yeah.
Or is that Braden Shen? That's Braden Shen.
Oh, Braden. Yep. So, like, you try to bring some of the guys and hope they don't get mad at you.
Yeah.
Because you kind of made them look like zombies. But it was a cool mask. It was a really, really good idea with Mace and me to try to do something that was kind of different.
Yeah. And the flat's different, too.
And the flat. Yeah, we gave the flat kind of like an eerie feel with the stitches and stuff like that. Mace always loved... in particular, he always loved like anything kind of like horror related. Yeah. Even when he was back into Columbus, he always had like a dark, scary mask. That's what's cool about goalies, right? So
when you meet Mace and you find out, he's a big horror fan. You're like, oh my, dude,
right in my
I've been waiting
wheelhouse.
for you my whole life.
Yes.
Where have you been?
Yes, correct. Yeah. I was like, me and my wife love horror movies and stuff. So it was like, what do you want to do? You want to do like, gory stuff? Because you can't really, like in NHL stuff, you can't really do too much stuff.
You can't have like somebody getting impaled or something like that.
Correct. Like, remember when we did the whole Briz thing and how that blew up, and it was like we had to change Yoda back to green and he was orange, and those like
the Star Wars licensing.
Star Wars licensing. So that was like one of those trial error things that was like worked out but didn't work out.
So how do you hear about it? You hear about that from like Lucas Studios, or how's that happen?
I want to say we heard the next day after he wore it, but you have to remember we kind of like took a chance on it because I talked to Bauer. They owned the rights to licensing for certain characters. I think was like Darth Vader. So we were trying to do like the dark side of Briz, which was like Darth Vader and stuff, and Yoda was the good side of Briz, like the dark side, the good
Jekyll
side.
and Hyde kind of
the
thing.
Jekyll and Hyde feel with the Star Wars feel that he wanted, which was such a cool idea that me and him came up with, because like, sometimes you'll see Briz with the media and then sometimes it'll be super great. So we tried to put that on a mask with the Star Wars, but end up kind of backfiring with the whole green Yoda thing.
Yeah.
But it still was a cool mask, but we couldn't do any kind of weapons or we could use lifesavers, but no weapons. But of course we kind of took the chance because it was like a couple weeks before the new release of Star Wars.
Yep.
So
promotion. It was all in the eye of promotion.
Yeah,
You have like a nice blaster on there or something like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of Star Wars, I had Dan Vladar on the podcast, and I asked him if he would embrace the Darth Vladar thing. And he stunned me, knocked my knees right out, and said, I've never seen Star Wars. Now, he's 26 or 27 years old. I mean, how much fun putting Star Wars stuff onto a mask just seems... It almost seems so obvious and great for a guy with the last name of Vladar.
I agree.
You and I are going to go on a campaign to convince... we're going to strap him to a chair like Clockwork Orange.
So, yes.
We're going to strap him in and put the eye things on and make him watch the original Star Wars to get the essence of Darth.
Yeah.
And then we're going to get
I think
him out
that'd
of
be
the mask.
great because obviously look at the Flyers. Black and orange.
Yeah.
And, it would
It's
be
the
very
good versus evil thing.
correct. Yeah. I think it would be awesome. I didn't approach him about that. The ones that we're working on now are, one isn't anything along the lines of Star Wars, but I have to mention that to him, actually.
Yeah, we got to team up, and we're going to get that done. And the fans are like thirsting for it. They're like, Darth Vladar, like that's a cool thing.
They got good feedback?
Oh, the fans love it, yeah. But we got to get him on board because he's the one that's going to wear it. And these goalies, I tell you, they're bananas.
They are a little tricky.
Yeah.
They are a little tricky. I can't say anything because I got to paint for them, but like...
We resemble that remark, though.
I was a goalie, so I know all about it. I wore the same socks, and I was a little kooky.
Yeah, it's... Could you ever imagine, like, this whole thing just being your career? Like, painting? Like I've always wanted to follow my passions professionally, which is how I end up here in hockey, and I end up in your studio here looking at something I love, mass, with good people. Could you imagine this would have been your career and you get to work right, basically studio set up far from the house and everything?
No, I took a chance. Like, I've always painted some like college stuff, right? But I never really got to painting like NHL stuff. And long story short, it was kind of cool where I basically came across the Cote Carnival, and I painted a panel. I don't know if you've seen it, but it was like, I'll have to give you pictures, but it was Riley Cote facing up against Dave Schultz, kind of like Now and Then. And I had the Spectrum and Rocky, and I donated to the Cote Carnival, and that's how I met Derek. And
so that's how you met Nasty, and that's how this all starts.
Yep.
Wow.
And he's like, dude, you want to paint Ray Emery's mask? And I'm like, huh? And then all these people came down to see the panel.
Is that the Clubber Lang mask?
That was actually the one that I showed you that we were going to do for the Winter
Oh,
Classic.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, the Winter Classic mask. And he unfortunately ended up getting hurt that before that game. But it was an honor to get my foot in the door. Wow. And that's kind of how we met Derek and went from there. Was from doing something for like Riley.
That's fascinating. Yeah. And now those two, of course, are doing Nasty Knuckles together.
Nasty Knuckles, yep.
Which I talk about quite often on here is I love the job that we feel totally different niches from a podcast
Oh,
perspective.
for sure.
But I love what they do.
my God,
I love the podcast community because everybody's doing something a little different on the same
And they're
subject.
talking hockey.
Yeah.
And I've known this guys forever now, and I've known you forever. So it's really neat to see people doing different aspects of, like, he'll bring players in and, like,
Very. I did their show and like just sitting in nasty studio. The whole thing is he's got mass all over the place.
He
too.
is, which we painted.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a couple, like, I think he's got the Brian Elliott in there. And I think he's got, I think he's got Carter's in there. He's got a couple in there.
Yeah. And you did, like, Moose loved, like, a really classic feel. Some guys want to go crazy, like Mace did with this, and some guys love those retro, like, I thought.
Bush was one of those.
Yeah, Bush was very simple, too. He had some really cool masks, but, like, Brian Elliott had just, like, classic, like, it's almost Marty Brodeur-ish.
It was super simple, which I love.
Clean.
Super clean, big logos, super clean lines, just very clean, like you said. It's working with Els, he was fun. I think one we did, like, a brick wall feel that was kind of like wild for him. With the guy, the Ninja Turtle guy, what was his name?
They all had, like, Greek god names or something.
Yeah,
like that.
well, the one guy that had the hockey stick, I forget his name.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
But it was such a cool experience to work with Els because it was a change from doing a Mace, right?
Yeah.
So that's what's awesome. Like when we're doing Dan's, he's going to have a different feel than Carson's.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, each one has a different personality.
Yeah, it's very cool because, like, I remember that, and I have a mini mask of it. The Nikolai Hobby Boolean Wall is, like, one of those legendary masks. You know, the Patrick Waugh Canadians mask, and you have one up on your wall there. Yep. It's not for him, but very similar. And, you know, the Marty, and you mentioned Richter's mask. I have a mini Richter. It's incredible. And one I always loved, too, that nobody's ever kind of done anything like is John Van Beesbrook.
Oh, I know. With the metal.
First of all, the weird shape of the mask.
Oh, yeah, because that was a different mask. So he had some really cool masks. I know he did that chrome one before.
Yep, that's what I have, the chrome and the flats.
One. Yeah, he did the metal flake one. But he also did, like, when he was in New York, he had, like, the bees flying around with the New York skyline. That's what's cool about sometimes, like, if you think about it, you think of the goalie through the hockey mask.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, oh, I remember Richter, or I remember them because of the hockey
Gary
mask.
Cheevers. Like, I think if I met Gary Cheevers at, like, a trade show, he'd be wearing the mask.
Right? Yeah. So, like that's what's so cool about what we do is that we get to try to create almost their personality.
Yeah.
You know, like, through a hockey mask. Yeah. That's what's neat about it. Like, that's what I try to make each mask, like, their own personality, their most, like, you know, sometimes you'll get a new goalie and you'll try to, like, kind of break them into, like, Philadelphia especially. So we'll do some, like, history or try to, like, on their first mask, like we did with Briz.
Yeah.
And then you'll start working into, like, some different stuff, and then he'll warm up to you and, like, hey, let's try this, or they, you know, they see what you can do.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part because there's so many great mask painters. So trying to get in with some of the goalies and show them or showcase what you can do is sometimes difficult.
Where can everybody see all your stuff on the web?
You can check us out at Paintzoo on Facebook, Instagram, and we have a lot of stuff on there. I stink at social media, so I
do too.
Bear with us. We're working.
Maybe that's a good job for Lates.
Yeah, Lates can probably work on that. I'm not good with videos, so I'm learning. So the whole podcast thing's all new.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
well, first of all, it smells really good in here. Is this like a tarp burner or a candle? It smells like a Yankee candle.
It is a Yankee candle.
I'm a huge smell guy.
Yeah, I try to take the paint fumes out of the whole shop area.
It smells very fall in here.
Yeah. Well, I'm waiting for hockey season.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm getting ready for hockey season. I'm tired of the heat. I want to get hockey going. I want to see what these Flyboys can do. I'm ready.
Dude, well, I don't know what happened, but I think we're, like, separated at birth. I think we were twins. Yes. Like, from, like, the ink and everything.
We're
like,
small,
kind of built the same way.
Short.
We had the same passions.
Yeah, they make fun of me all the time. Nasty always yells at me because I didn't get any taller. But, yeah.
Yeah, that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
This place is awesome. I thank you so much for having me here. I've been meaning to come up for years. Skateboards, surfboards, Grateful Dead stuff everywhere. Yeah. Just, this is a paradise, man. I love it. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for coming.
Huge thanks to Franny Drummond and Lates for having me up there at the shop, getting to see a lot of the cool stuff and all the masks and everything else. Awesome stuff. He's doing a mask for me as well. We're going to add another one to the collection, and I cannot wait to see it. He asked me for what I wanted on it. I said, you're the artist. You know me. You got free reign, and I can't wait to see what he comes up with. So thanks to Franny. Thanks to you guys for watching. Thanks to Paintzoo. We'll be back Friday with Charlie O'Connor from PHLY Sports, covers the Flyers, and we'll talk some more pucks coming up on Friday. Everybody have a great Wednesday and Thursday. We'll talk to you Friday on a brand new Flyers Daily.